Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals, and they're about to make that very clear. So just kick back and hang with them, because you've earned it.
Well, you got fancy equipment here.
I know. I'm trying to do this for reals. It's kind of trying to make this serious, Mom.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Check. All right. Start.
Yeah, let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Walking Blind podcast. I'm Mike. That is also Mike. And today we have a very special guest for episode 12. This young lady is my mother. My mom is a retired social worker, mother to 2 boys, and she is probably more busy now, retired, than she was when she was still working.
That's right.
So, yeah, she's gracious enough to come on and speak with us. I'm actually excited because there's some things that like even just coming here, there's some questions that I haven't really thought to ask my mom ever.
I feel like you're glossing over some very important details on this intro, Mike. First of all, we have the decorating queen in the house.
Sure.
You'll notice looking on camera, my house is very sparse, so I'm a little embarrassed
Very
that
nice.
she's here. We also have one of the most extra people I know in the best way possible. She always goes above and beyond, which is, we've talked about on this show before.
Yeah.
We talked about the tacos, which, thank you.
For my college graduation, they said you could bring one vehicle. And that's all they said, but one vehicle. So my mom got a limo.
That took care of a lot of.
One car to fit them all, you know?
Yeah.
That's right.
So we are going to talk, and don't mind my voice. I blew my voice out last week, and I still haven't quite recovered. But we're going to be talking today. We have a bunch of questions for you. I know there's some interesting questions that we want to ask about Mike. We're putting him in the hot seat and embarrass him a little bit. And then we have a ton of questions from from the live, from Instagram. So I guess to start, we've done our own intro. Do you want to intro yourself? Do you want to give like your professional history, your background? It's weird to talk about yourself. I know.
It is. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for the invitation, guys.
Of course.
It's a privilege for me to be here as an old lady to be able to meet so many of your friends and hearers that are young. And I just hope that we can have a fun time this evening and that we can share. And I'm just a lucky mom of 2 boys. That's all I can say.
That's
my title.
You're the legend around these parts. So
I'm just gonna share really quick. One of my favorite stories about my mom and like having to do with like touring and all that stuff. We were playing at the Glass House and we were playing with Every Time I Die, and this was like a pretty big show for us.
huge, yeah.
And so it was big enough that I got both my parents to come out, you know, and so, so my mom was like, "Where do I go?" I was like, "Just go to the front, and then you're on the guest list." Well, how will I know to find? I was like, "Mom, just go find the building. They're gonna know that you're not there as a showgoer. They're gonna know that you're like someone's mother, like."
Only one over 50 that was there.
Yeah, and the only person in that entire building wearing pink, which was awesome.
Perfect. Then you can spot her in the crowd.
And so of course I don't even think you made it to the front until like a security guard or someone like saw my mom, and they're like, you want to go this way. This is how you
Danger zone.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was funny that she like it's like mom's gonna know.
But that's true support though. That's the real deal. I guess talking about that, we can talk about one of the first questions that came up. So for you, what was the question? What was it like seeing Mike leave for his first tour? What was that? What was the emotion? What were the thoughts?
Well, you can imagine as a mom, I'm speaking now as a mom, not a fan. It was hard to see your little boy going out with his little guitar case and hopping in this van with 5 other guys and waving to him goodbye. But even though I was sad that he was going because of the uncertainty and the dangers out there, not only on the road, but, just in general, I had a sense of happiness because I knew that he was doing something that he really wanted to do. And to see his happiness, his excitement of the journey, it just kind of gave me peace. Not to say that I wasn't worried, but I knew that God was going to take care of him. And my prayers continued morning, noon, and night. So I had to let go and let God take over because it would have been really hard because of, later on I got to know a little bit more about it, but I'm glad I didn't know that much at the time when he left on that
That's fair.
on that first one. So,
So at how old were you when you first went on tour?
Well, I mean, because you said guitar, because I think you're probably thinking the same thing too. You're talking when we went up north, right, with Ryan Seaver. Yeah, so I was still in high school, so we had done some shows up north. We did I don't even know. We did Pacifica, Fresno. I don't know.
I know that there was now I'm pulling back into the history here. I know there was a band other than NBR that you had the opportunity to play in, and I know you guys shut it down because you were still in high school.
Oh yeah, like 80.
Yeah.
Steve Worth's band. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
we won't talk about that.
Yeah, that could have been really cool.
It could have been a really cool tour.
Yeah. But so yeah, when I was a senior. I think it was my senior year of high school. We had booked something like 6 shows. It was just all up California, and we had taken. Actually, I think we went in 2 cars because I don't think we had Ryan Seaver's mom's Blazer, which was pulling this trailer that we had bought, and that didn't. When I say it barely made it home, it was literally dragging sparks everywhere on the way back as we were coming home.
Was it like a flat tire, or was the trailer?
The trailer was just shot. It just wasn't meant to carry gear. And it wasn't even a full week, And anyway, so that was the first time that we'd ever left. We had to print up all our directions because this is 2002. So we we did MapQuest everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had to
Spring break, wasn't it?
I think it was spring break. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was. And
that makes sense then why you were allowed to go.
Yeah. And also just having to because I'm pretty sure we had to get the hotels in your name or something, or dad's name, because we were all 18.
Whoa.
Or because we had the credit card. We didn't have credit cards. None of us had cards, I don't think. And so, yeah, that was
the things you do for love.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll jump through a couple of different questions here. So, let's keep talking about Mike as a kid. When did you realize that music was a serious thing
for him? Well, he always liked music. He always enjoyed different kinds of music, and not at home we had more of the religious music and the oldies because we're from that era. So they learned a lot of that, and he learned a lot of that type of music. He liked all sorts of music, some classical, anyway, music was in his blood. So his passion at the time when he was in junior high, of course, was sports, especially baseball. But it came a time when that was not available for him. And so we decided that instead of him just sitting around, shooting the breeze, that he enjoyed music and he enjoyed getting together with some of the guys. So Dad and I decided to go ahead and buy him his first guitar to play. And
Fender Squire.
and
Nice.
and of course they would use the garage, and we kind of warned the neighbors around the area to that after school the kids would be on the band playing band, and that it wouldn't last very long at night. And anyway, long story short, I was super surprised that when they had their 8th grade banquet, they announced the band. And I think you guys already had the name, right? No bragging rights?
No, we had.
But anyway,
we had.
You were announced that, the band. So here, Mr. Sievers, and we had David Mendoza.
Jose Mendoza.
Jose Mendoza.
It's us three.
Anyway, so they get up, and they did really well. I mean, for the first, we didn't even know that you guys were going to do that,
Yeah. Well, actually, we had Joey Sanchez.
Yeah,
Sanchez?
he was our singer,
He
right?
was our singer.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually
So we
performed.
were
I
blown
worked with
away.
Joe. Did you know that?
We were blown away, yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
that
I'm
was
gonna-
the first time that we thought, oh, wow, it looks like these guys are really pretty, serious about taking their music to the next level. So, of course, that continued during the summer and on to high school.
Yeah, we literally practiced like every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day after school, we practiced, and we learned. Like by the time I was like I think even before I was a sophomore in high school, like I already knew like police they'd have to come. If they had to come a second time, then they can like actually like give you a ticket
like
or take your stuff,
the
whatever.
fine, yeah.
Yeah, but we just knew, and by the time by like my junior year of high school, I think we kind of knew the cop. Like they come in and they like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm like, okay, cool, we're almost done.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool. And then eventually, we had one of the police officers came and I think he appreciated that we were like playing music. We're not out vandalizing anything. We're doing music.
Right.
And I remember I think he was even just getting tired of getting called in, like to come tell us to shut up. And so I remember I just straight asked him. I was just like, where is this call coming from? And the only reason I'm asking, we're not going to egg them or whatever. Like, where is the call coming from? Because then we can position, maybe we can turn, position
change,
ourselves different so the sound carries a different way, And he was just like, that's fair. He's like, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't tell you. Dispatch, where was that call coming from? And they're like, oh, it's from the address, blah, 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 blah. Okay, thank you. And he's like, I didn't tell you anything. And we're like, fair.
That's cool though.
Yeah, and then we figured out where it was coming from, and we like literally positioned our garage. I think we even tried to get like a mattress to like try to angle
Yes.
sound or
We
whatever.
put and on the bottom.
Yeah, we did. We tried our best, and I remember the police officer like they appreciated that also.
Was this the La Sierra house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
The
So
one
we
that
were-
didn't have
yeah.
a garage for a long time.
Yeah, the garage. Yeah.
So,
So
this
loud.
this isn't a question that anybody else asked, but this is I kind of want to know this. For Mike, at what point in time did you like that decision where you're like, okay, I want to pursue this full time? And what was the thought process between like, okay, now I got to tell my mom that I'm gonna, and then how did you
And
receive
dad.
it? Yeah, mom and dad, and then how did you receive it?
Like, I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, cause like in high school, like, okay, I know this sounds kind of like, oh, everyone thinks that, but the minute we started playing, like the minute where we were like, oh, we can write our own songs.
Yeah.
For me, I was just like, this is like, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna figure it out. We're gonna do this. I had like a couple reality checks, like when Jose left, our original drummer. That was the first time that I was just like, oh, this could end.
Yeah.
And if it ends, like, am I going to just find another band? Am I going to find another musician? Am I keep doing this? Or am I going to try to do something else? And so I think I think by the time, and I don't want to speak for Ryan, but Ryan Sievers kind of told me more or less that he had an expiration date, and I understood that because for anyone who doesn't know, Ryan Sievers, original bass player, I mean he is now like a big time like accountant. Like he's doing really
Very well.
doing very well, and I knew
Proud
that.
of you,
Like,
Ryan.
yeah, we all knew that. Like he was just different. Like
He was built different.
he was built
He
different.
was the tutor.
Yeah. I mean, like, so when he told me like, hey, I kind of have an expiration date. Like if it takes off, then I'm down to do it because I love music. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to need to, focus on my school and I remember understanding that. And I kind of felt like, okay, this needs to be, that was like I think that's probably my original, like, I guess to try to keep Ryan or just, like make it like we have to do.
We have to make it so he'll stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that might have been maybe like the first time, like it was just like, okay, we're like, my mom knows like I had different attempts at college that didn't really work out.
A couple.
But I remember like thinking at like 2005 when he was like on his way out, I think that's when like my mentality started to change where I was just like, I need to only do this for now. Like this is, I don't know what that looks like, but this is what we got to do. And then that's around the time when Christian joined the band, and Christian was like an even bigger, like more of a details guy. I'm big picture. He was more like details. Like, okay, well then we gotta get this, and we gotta sell this, and we gotta, So I guess 2005 is probably when I was like, okay, I want to do this for reals then.
It's interesting. So that's right around the time I came into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And also around that time too, that's when like MBR, like we've been around forever. So like, we could play like places like the Showcase and we had a pretty good crowd. We could play most areas like locally and do pretty well. But around that time, I think is when we like really started to make a push, like really promote for shows, like really like try to get as many people as we could out, going out, checking out other bands, making those connections. So yeah, around that time, I think is when it started to really pick up.
So then what was that like for you, seeing him get to that point where it's like, okay, we're like college is not in the picture right now. School's not in the picture right now.
Well, I remember that day very, very distinctly.
She's like, and I remember it differently.
Well, he had already started his freshman year in college.
Okay.
He was doing okay, but we knew that his heart was not in it, and he was capable, we knew, of a lot better grades, So he was struggling, and I know that he was doing it for us,
Right.
not because he was really into
School.
and working on a degree or anything like that. His heart was not in it. So therefore, it was we had a feeling that was coming down the pipe. And when it did come, of course, it wasn't received with news of
Right.
joy and glad tidings,
It wasn't a celebration.
Yeah.
No celebration. However, I remember distinctly telling him, if this is what you want to do for now, we wish it was different, but this is your choice. And I know the day will come when you will come back to school, and I hope that you will give schooling the same dedication, the same passion that you have for your music. So I knew that when he does something, he does it wholeheartedly.
Right.
And for him, it was very hard to do half schooling and half music. So this way, he was able to put all of his energy, all of his passion into music. And my hope and my prayer was that someday soon, he would be able to move that same passion and excitement to his studies. And I told him that. I said, I know that when you come back to do your studies, you will give it that same attention, same commitments, that same passion to your studies. And 10 years later, it happened.
Literally 10 years.
That's a lot of prayer. You know that?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to hear both perspectives because, I mean, obviously you kind of did prove that after the fact, like when you're actually interested in what you're doing in school and you're actually focused on it. Because we've even talked about how towards him finishing school was when they started working on the new NBR record, and he even said, I can't do both, so I have to finish school before I start writing. So it's yeah, that's valid.
Yes. He's a committed man.
True. All right, so let's see here. I know we have a couple questions directly for you. So we did mention that you were a retired social worker. So we have a couple questions. One from Bryson, who asked, as a retired social worker, what helped you separate your emotions and experiences from the emotions and experiences of others? And then what helped you set boundaries while you were helping people?
Okay, let me start with the first question. And when you're doing social work, you're obviously working with people that have a lot of needs, have a lot of problems, and you want to help them. You want to do something. You want to connect them to services. You want to do all you can to have them reach their max. And it's hard when you see, as a mom, you see mothers crying for their children. You see a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow. And as I started there, I would walk out the door, leaving a mom behind that closed door crying for their child, knowing that they'll never. I worked with kids with disabilities. Some of them were 21, still on diapers, not able to walk. Services difficult for them at times. And it was hard as a mom and I think as a social worker to feel like, I wish I could do more for them. However, I found myself bringing a lot of that at home, to my home, and it started to affect some of the way that things were happening at home. I still had at that time, my kids were already teens, but, that still was taking, emotionally, it was for me draining and for my husband. So I soon learned that I needed to leave all of that back at the office and pick it up the next day. And when I came home as a mom, no longer a social worker. Because of that, otherwise, you get all involved and you can't hardly even think of what you're doing at home or whatever because you're thinking of what's happening at work. So you soon learn to leave your social work hat, hang it up at the door at the office, and then pick it up the next morning. So what was the second one?
The second one kind of goes into what helped you set your boundaries when you were helping people.
Oh, okay. Well, when you start to help people, there's a lot of times, and it's hard at first to know how to help people, and then how to enable people to work for themselves. Many a times they don't want to do it. They can do it, but they want you to do it. So part of the job was to help them, take them step by step as much as you could, and to empower them to do a lot of the things that they could do, that they thought they could not do. But with a little help and a little bit of encouragement, they soon found out that they were capable of doing a lot more than they thought. And so we were there just, letting them know that we're here to support you. We're not necessarily here to do the work, but we're here to support you, to encourage you, to connect you to services and so forth. So I think that I saw my job as trying to not have them lean on me for everything, but to help them have the skills and the tools that they would need as they navigated the system.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's interesting because that kind of answers the next question is like, do you believe that people don't often have the confidence to help themselves? And then what helped you determine that you wanted to help people? What was that?
Well, as you may or may not know, I was raised in a Christian home. My daddy was a minister. So growing up, it was always helping people, doing missionary work, outreach, so forth. So from early on, that was part of our job description, I guess you could say. Then I married a minister. Well, I didn't marry a minister, but he soon became a minister, so I became the minister's wife. And I was helping people translate in court, trying to get them services and so forth. And then when I was able to get into my social work, I saw that as missionary work with pay. So, it never really stopped. I think that was just something that I grew up with. And I was thrilled that they were going to pay me to go and interpret at a court to help people that, I was getting paid for that. So how about having a job that you enjoy, you get paid for?
Yeah. That's a blessing.
Which, my mom, she will do many things for no pay. She's always trying to help people.
Pay is a bonus,
It's a bonus, yeah.
So this question is from Angelica. So Angelica asked, so at the start of your career, was there ever a time where you felt like you were settling professionally? In other words, did you ever feel like you had to work in a setting or with a population that you weren't thrilled about just to get your foot in the door? And if so, how did you navigate that?
Well, I think I was blessed because I started right after college at a juvenile hall, and I worked with girls there for a year. Then I got married. So we moved down to Southern California, and I started to work at Loma Linda for their 30-day inpatient drug abuse, alcohol abuse center. So it gave me a little bit of difference, working with juveniles and then working with addicts and so forth. And so then, of course, I took a break when my children came. I did things that I enjoyed. I also had gotten my degree in education, so I did substitute teaching at one of our schools. And so that helped me to do that and still to be able to have the same schedule my children had. So I think I was blessed in being able to have a variety of jobs before going into my 20-year job, which was at Inland Regional Center, working with disabled population. So I think I was blessed, and I have no complaints.
And really quick, on the way here, my mom dropped some things on me that I had no idea about. So my mom and dad, they lived up the street from here. They lived in the Terrace Oak apartments.
Really?
On Washington and Cooley, whatever, like the corner, the light.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like literally that corner, like right there in the corner.
Yeah.
Top apartment.
Wow.
Yes, we were
It's
the first
literally up the street
ones
from
to
here.
rent the little apartment, so we had it brand new. So you can imagine.
They're the ones that are right on the street, right? Where it's
Right on
funny.
the street.
Yeah.
Yes, that
That's
was
funny.
beautiful, beautiful place. So
It's-
yeah, we would have been neighbors.
Ever since so what's crazy is ever since I've lived in, or since I started working at Loma Linda, I've lived in like 6 different places all around here. So like I started down across from where the old Taco Bell was, down there in the Novas, right? Which crazy thing, like after I lived there, I remember moving out, and then I went to go to the post office to get like a package. The dude was like, "Hey man, you were in the Novas?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was." And he's like, "Man, they used to call that the Nova Point Projects back in the day." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Slap a fresh coat of paint. You can call it whatever you want, but it's still the project." I was like, oh, "Okay." But yeah, so like I was there, and then I moved like right up here on Mojave, like over there, tucked away in the apartments and stuff like that. I've just been all over the place, and then ended up because it's so close to work for me to
Yes.
be here.
Yes.
And then even what makes the world even smaller is my aunt and uncle lived right there on Ritchie Canyon when I was a kid. So like I didn't realize how close I was until one day my aunt was like, "Yeah, the old Ritchie Canyon house is right there," and I was like, "Wait, this is the same Ritchie Canyon?" And she's like, "Yeah, just go up this way." So I drove over there, and I was like, "I'm like 5 minutes away from the old house that we grew up in." So it's
When you're young, you have a different perspective.
true.
Ryan's mom used to live in Ritchie Canyon for a little bit, didn't she?
I don't remember. Ritchie Canyon.
Ritchie Canyon is one of those things where I always remembered it because of the wild donkeys, and the wild donkeys are still there to this day. And I've had a couple nights, riding back at pitch dark because there's no street lights on Ritchie Canyon, and I'll be like on my motorcycle, right? And it's terrifying because then there'll just be this donkey in the middle of the road, and you have to stop because they won't get out of the way for you.
Yeah.
And they'll just look at you, and you have to either go around them or you have to wait for them all to get out of your way.
Yeah.
And it's scary at night.
Dude, that's we run into them on our hikes.
Yeah.
And remember? And like we're kind of worried, a
Yeah.
little nervous. We're like, that was kind of big, in person or up close.
Yep. Things have changed.
Oh, you know what? Before we get any further, there's another part of our show which we kind of forgot to do.
Oh, yeah.
Our mental health check.
Our MPHC.
MPHC.
Our
So
Martha Perez health check.
this is where we like to just kind of check in, see where we're at, like mentally, and So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Mike will go first. Yeah.
I'm all right. I feel like I'm waiting for my voice to come back because it's a little stressful, but we finished recording our record and then had issues with the vocals. So now I'm retracking all of the vocals on the record. But I'm doing it at home in my own studio, which is a gift and a curse because I can dial things in exactly how I want them. But then I also push way too hard because I want them to sound really good, So my voice has been shot for a few days now, and I'm just like trying to not talk and recover that.
It sounds great.
It's getting better. A couple of days ago, I was like all raspy and, it sounded bad, but
Sounded like you had a cold, huh?
yeah.
And of course, the first thing they think is cold.
And of course, I'm basically a teacher, I'm training at work, and I'm like, guys, I promise I'm not sick.
No
This
COVID.
is it's not COVID.
That's how I feel when I have my allergies. Yeah, my eyes are like all crazy looking, and my nose, I'm like, this happens. This is not. It's been windy, right? It's been windy.
I will say though, I need to figure out my blood type because I, like you, have gotten sick a couple times, gone and got tested, and I still haven't tested positive for COVID this whole time.
Blood typo.
So I don't know. Maybe
Let's
I'm
be grateful.
Maybe I'm blood typo.
Blood typo.
Be grateful.
Yeah.
Would you like to go next, Mom?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
How am I feeling?
How you feeling?
Well, let me see. I felt a little tired this afternoon, but then of course this last week I spent the whole day at the happiest place on earth, Disneyland, with my granddaughters, my darling granddaughters, my two boys, my
I got
husband.
to go. I originally wasn't going to be able to go.
And it was a full day. We must have walked about 10 miles, you think? 7
Pretty
miles?
Close to it, yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Lot of
it
walking.
was. So I think we're still recuperating from that. But it's a happy feeling. It's a happy tiredness, I guess you can call it. So nothing that a little sleep won't take care of, So, but I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. And that to me is something that makes me very happy. And my mental check.
I was telling Mike the other day because I was at the house and I noticed that the Christmas tree was taken down. So I'm looking around and I'm looking at the bookshelves to each side of the TV, and I go, "Hey, Mike, there's nothing on this top shelf yet. There's nothing on the top shelf." He goes, "Don't worry. She's still in the process of decorating."
Yeah, like, we're still.
I'm not done.
Yeah, this is early
He's like,
stages.
"No." He said, "We just got started."
This is early stages. Don't worry.
Yes,
Do not
we're
worry.
trying to get it done before we take off for our little vacation. So
Something I want to add to the mental health check, because like Mike and I have both several times on the show we kind of talked about things that we that we do when we feel like, you know, we're either anxious or we feel like we're going through it. What are some of the things that you do, Mom, when you're having just like a hard go at things? You know, you're emotionally drained, or something's happened. Like what do you do to find that peace or get back to you know, an even balance?
Nice question. Several things. As you know, I enjoy tea of any kind.
We have an entire room dedicated to tea.
We have a tea room at home if you'd like to come by and see it. And so to me, when I'm done and I just want to relax a little bit, get my nice cup of tea, put on my jammies, and go upstairs and relax. And I enjoy that. I also like Hallmark movies. And if there's a good one going on, I like to just do that. Or just maybe, you know, find a nice book to read, or just spend a little time catching up with the honey, doing a little bit of phone with the grandkids or with friends. I enjoy that time. And if I'm wanting to really relax, I'll go shopping. I enjoy going window shopping because I don't necessarily have to buy, but I'd love to see what's out there. What's new at 99-cent stores, what's new at Dollar Tree.
And Tuesdays at Ross.
Tuesday, the senior discount day. Yeah, those are times when I just like to go and enjoy. And then my other favorite thing is just to go out and spend time with my husband. We're both retired. And, you know, for so many years, we just didn't have the time to hook up for lunch or, you know, to be able to do things together. And so now we are able to maybe go grab a bite somewhere or go to, you know, Yogurtland or something like that. And just kind of relax and talk. And this next week, we're going on a cruise. So that's going to be a real little relaxation.
Where are you guys going?
We are going on a, what do you call it, Love Boat? The Princess.
Oh.
And spending Valentine's Day on the Mexican Riviera.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So that's going to be kind of a fun, relaxing time to recharge the batteries and, you know.
I will say for a retired couple, you guys do way more. Like you guys do so much.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Couple.
And they've had to spend most of their, not most, but actually probably, I guess it's getting, but even now, your retirement has been during COVID and lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my parents, they love going on cruises. That's their thing. So when they both retired, 2019, when they both retired, they went on a month-long cruise to Australia
And New Zealand.
and New Zealand.
Beautiful.
That
Beautiful.
That doesn't drive you crazy to be on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah. Right. Let me tell you, they have sales going on now where you can go around the world. Yeah, they have it. In fact, they're starting to sell property on ships.
What? Like you can own.
You can
like your
own. Yes, it's going to be a ship. It's going to come out already at the end of the year. So, yeah, hey, look out for that. Who knows? You might just find us waving goodbye.
Yeah, guess who's going on tour now, Mike?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They've done more
many
traveling
months.
than I have since we've been done. Since
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been traveling. They've
I
been
love
I
traveling
did
all the
see.
time.
I think it was Carnival. I think Carnival did release a Batman cruise ship. Have you seen it? Mm-hmm. The whole cruise ship, like there's a big Batman mural on the side of it, everything. And I was like, maybe,
Next.
maybe.
Love it. You'll love it.
What if it showed you the Batman like a week early?
Oh, I'm there. I don't know though. We are going to see the Batman in theaters. We're getting a private theater to watch it.
And I'll be there. I couldn't be there for this.
Mike will be there, so we're excited.
When is that?
It's in March.
March. Oh, okay.
Oh, my mom and dad and my aunt and uncle, they went on a 50s cruise, like a doo-wop cruise,
A 60s.
60s cruise. Like, I was jealous of some of the bands that played.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like I don't know how original, but most like
A lot of the originals, if not, they had some very
Yeah.
good. Couldn't tell, but it was a
There's
Cruise
a
to
lot
remember.
of these, like themed cruises going on that
Oh, yeah.
that are like kind of impressive.
They have all kinds, the 60s, the 80s. You know, you just sign up for whatever one you want to go on.
Well, they now have a so Mike, the Emo's Not Dead videos. So they have a cruise now in November 8th through 12th. And it's Dashboard, Under Oath, Newfound Glory, Thursday, Plain White Tees, Silverstein, Hawthorne Heights.
Playing on a cruise?
Playing on a cruise. Like this
Dude.
whole lineup playing on a cruise.
That is insane.
November 8th through 12th to
Well,
Ensenada.
that's what they had for the 60s. They had all these bands, and it was just memory lane.
That's crazy.
We
That's
got
cool
to
though.
we got to dress, you know.
So do you have to
So-
bring your own costume,
Yes,
or do they
yes,
provide like
no.
wardrobe?
No. You bring your own stuff, and then they give prices. You know, every night is a different theme.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, not a moment to be bored. That's for sure.
I feel like I could do that for like maybe a week. A month is a lot. A month seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
for her.
Okay, let's see here. I know we got a couple
you been
more
on a cruise
questions.
before?
I have not. I've not got.
They're pretty
You
fun.
need to be on a cruise.
I've been to Alaska
Then we'll
twice.
talk.
I think I was supposed to go on one cruise and then something happened. I couldn't go for some reason. I forget why. But for me, when I was a kid, I traveled a lot because my aunt worked for United.
Oh, okay.
But most of my travel was planes. I never really did the cruise.
Cruise is pretty sick. Just based on you get food anytime you want.
Oh yeah, you
awesome.
can get spoiled real quick. So if you haven't taken a cruise, please do. You'll love it. Great way to relax.
Okay, so I'm trying to pull all the questions that are related to you and that are tailored to you. So we did have a question from Windy Shitty Kid. So have you ever used the chancla?
Oh, ask Mike.
And at what age did you instill fear into Mike and Mario?
I still do. I tell them they're never too old. So yes.
She'd always be like, she's like, don't lie to me because I have eyes and ears everywhere and I'll find out. She would. She'd always somehow, I don't know. It's like, one of my friends plays snitch.
Dude, La Sierra is a small community.
It is a small
It
community.
is.
I-
And they knew that, you know,
Yeah.
because many a times, well, I shouldn't say many a times, but I remember one time in particular with my eldest son, you know, I told him, I says, you need to let me know exactly what happened because I will find out. And who knows, I may already know what happened. So he kind of had to cough it up, you know. But anyway, you know, as a parent, you don't want to instill fear, but you do want them to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
I was terrified.
because that chancla came in very handy.
Chancla
you know?
was real. Like,
Yeah, that chancla.
like I know, like I'm sure now, like newer generation, that it's more like a joke. It wasn't a joke for us. It was real. It was real. The chancla, the broom.
But they got the message, you know. That
Yeah.
Very. Yeah, I didn't have to use it too much. So,
My family was the belt.
Mm-hmm.
It was never. It wasn't the chunk. It was the belt.
for us, as me growing up, the belt.
Yeah. All right. So this is from Lucy, and I probably worded this a little wrong, but what advice would you give for cultivating your kids' talent?
Good question, Lucy. Well, you know, a talent comes in different forms. It's not just music. My advice would be to encourage your child in whatever they enjoy, be it sports, be it music, be it writing, poetry, whatever it is. But always encourage them and make them feel like they can do it and that you as a mom are there to support them. So, because, you know, they get enough discouragement from, you know, their friends and some teachers and whatever. So as a parent, you need to really encourage them, instill in them that they can do it. And I would tell my kids, with God's help, you can do it. And there's nothing that really they cannot do if they put their mind to doing it. And so encourage them. If they're in music, put them in music lessons, dancing lessons, writing lessons, art lessons, whatever it is. It's a little extra money, but it's well worth it. And I think the last thing would be is to spend time with them, talk to them about their music, be interested in what they're doing. If it's art or anything else, look at their products and what they're developing, and you may not make heads or tails about it, but to them as an artist, they feel it's a good thing. So just plain encouragement, love them, and just let them know that they can do it.
I have just a quick little thing I want to interject here. I remember the moment that I realized I was not going to be an artist, and it's when we were at Grandma's old house, and we'd finished coloring. Erica and I had finished coloring, and up until this point, my mom, everyone, we present our art, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing!" Straight, let's take the picture down and put it, it was that whole thing. And so I'd kind of gotten to the point where I was just like, I'm turning
Picasso.
I'm turning hit after hit after hit, and then I'm there with my cousin who's younger than me, and she's basically scribbling. And then, so we both present, our things, and I got the praise that I had come to expect. But then my cousin, Erica, got praised just as hard, if not harder, for her scribbles. And I remember just being like,
what's the age difference between you and Erica?
2 years.
She's younger.
Yeah. And I just remember being like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I was like, if you guys are cheering that hard for that, you guys do that to me this whole time. Like, I remember, like,
my life is a lie.
Yeah, understanding that. And I remember, like, from that moment, like, art to me kind of was just like, it was just something I did. It wasn't something I was going to become a professional at, because that's kind of what I probably thought I wanted to be. I was like, I'll be an artist. And then I realized, like, oh, maybe I'm not that good.
No, but in my defense on that one is that in his early years, he was drawing stuff a lot better, a lot clearer than most kids, his age. And so we would always say that my husband has some little bit of artist in him. He likes to draw, and he does good drawings and stuff, and he would be with him on stuff. And so I thought, oh, you told him, you've got your dad's talent on artist, so just keep on going on that. So anyway, I guess that the art went in a different direction.
So I wonder if this ties into this next question. How did social work influence your parenting style? Yeah, for you.
Well, let me see. I think there's a lot. It's basically the same in the sense that, a parent is one that loves your child regardless. You're compassionate with your child. The same thing with social work. You have empathy, and you really do love those kids. You want to help them. And I think that same thing goes into your parenting. You want your child to be the best that he can. And yeah, there's limitations, but work through those limitations.
Right.
As you do in social work. And social work just is very much like parenting, because you try to love them, but you want to not be, you don't want to enable them, just, So I think that parenting and social work have a lot of very same characteristics. So I think that was,
A lot of
I was a
patience.
parent first.
Yeah.
And later put on my parenting into social work.
So the art trick came from parenting and not social work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have one or two more questions before we want to talk to you about 2015. So last two questions. Did your previous experience cross over into Mike's life? And I think I worded this wrong also, but Do you sense the emotion in the lyrics that he writes, and do you see kind of what he's going through with his music and with his songwriting?
Well, I think I'm one of his biggest fans. I really enjoy listening to his creativity and bringing the message, into song. Granted, I don't understand it when it's being played because my ear is not accustomed to the fast kind of music and stuff, but he will read it to me and, explain what he's saying through the song. He'll pause it and says, "This is what I'm saying." But this is, so, but then by reading his lyrics and so forth, and I'm just really proud that he is able to put into words messages that will bring hope and that will bring encouragement to kids and to young people, actually of all ages, that are going through difficult times. And to be able to put that into music is really a talent, I believe. And so I'm very proud of that ability that God has given him. I'll just add this. When he started to do this, of course, I mentioned before, my husband's a minister, and so is my son, so is my dad. So this was not quite along the lines that we kind of expected it to be, right? It was a little different. However, we soon found that the message that he was taking out to these concerts and so forth, the lyrics that he was writing really had a message. And I remember telling him, "Son, your daddy, who's a pastor, your son, your brother, who's a pastor, they will never reach the groups, the people that you're reaching. You have a ministry. You're a minister in that sense, because, a lot of the kids that are searching and looking may not go to a church. They may not hear a sermon, but they'll hear your music and they'll hear your message. And my prayer is that those lyrics will reach the hearts of those that are searching and to give them hope, because that's what it's all about. And if you can find hope to keep going, to move forward, then the message is well done, And I believe in God, and I know that He is in control. He has he created these kids. He created everyone, and he has a plan for each one. So by listening to his music, I just pray that it motivates people to know that there is something better. There is a future, and not give up. Kids are so young that are giving up, I see it at work, in my juvenile hall days, in my drug addiction work, and also at my last job. They need hope, and that's what we all need. And I'm just really glad that he has been able to use his talent and in that direction, in helping. And so I hope that answers the question in that sense, that, I'm just really glad that he's able to portray that love and hope.
And then last one, we're doing this just for you, Alex. What's your favorite memory of Alex and Ryan?
and Alex is, like I mentioned earlier, our original bass player is Ryan Sievers. Alex is his wife. So.
Yeah. And, with Ryan, he was like a son. He was at our home all the time. Him and Mikey got along so well. And they were brothers. One was tall, one was short. One did math, and the other one did music type of thing,
But Ryan also did music, Mom.
Yeah, he did music too.
But not really.
Yeah.
He was math.
But, and so when he met Alex, she had a little group that Mikey also had friends with. So she became quickly part of the group, and it was really nice to see their relationship grow from friends, shy and all this, because our little Ryan, he was pretty shy, but boy, once he met Alex, they were such a cute couple. And of course, I will never forget that wedding. It was absolutely beautiful at the Mission Inn. Oh, a fairy tale wedding. And of course, I'll never forget the best man's toast. That was amazing. That's oh, he had us laughing. If you ever have a chance, that would be fun to.
You still have that speech?
You think?
Yeah,
Do you have it?
Yeah, we still have it. So hey, if you guys want to see that, I have the video.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So I said this in the speech, and this isn't even me making jokes. This was real. I said like just how Ryan and I are very similar and how we're different. My senior year of high school, I was getting Army brochures in the mail, whereas Ryan was getting acceptance letters from all the colleges he was applying to. That was real.
Yes, and I really and to Ryan, I just want to thank you, Ryan, because you have continued your friendship with Mike and been very generous with him, flying him out to visit you guys in Texas, and your mom's always been very.
MBR spent Thanksgiving with Ryan and Alex on tour.
Yeah.
So you and Alex have been so generous, and I have enjoyed watching through the years your advance there and your little one growing into such a young, beautiful, handsome young man.
Hunter's playing tackle football now.
Yeah.
And I think pretty sure the team won the championship.
We're proud of you guys. God bless you.
Still remember pool parties and before they even moved.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right, so let's
Wait, before we get into the serious thing, one last thing. It just the whole how a couple weeks ago I was like, oh, my soul left my body when one of our friends thought my almost 6-year older brother was the younger brother.
Jesse.
So today, I'm back at the coffee shop and making drinks, and there's this tall kid, and he like looks over and he's just like, Coach Mike? And he's like, do you remember me? And like his face is the same. I mean, he's so much taller now, but his face is the same. It was just, his name's Matt. And I was just like, of course I remember you. Like I coached him in junior high. And I was being 100% serious when I was just like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, did he drive here? I was like, dude, are you a sophomore? And he's like, no, I'm a senior in high school. I was like, oh my gosh. Ouch. I was like, dude, no. Yeah. Did you have Matt McFarland?
No.
Oh. All right. Well, his son's a senior in high school, so which is Anyway, that's my brother's friend that was one of my teachers in high school. Anyway, coached this kid in junior high, and now he's a senior in high school. So.
Yeah, story repeats itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway. All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So this December 2nd, 2015 was, so for the people that are from Inland Empire, from Southern California, it was a terrorist attack in San Bernardino, California, like a couple miles up the street from where we are right now. For me, I was actually working in one of the buildings, in one of the county buildings right here, and I could see from my floor and from where I sat out the windows, I could see all the commotion. I could see all the helicopters, the cop cars. We could hear the sirens. We could hear, and we were put on a complete and total lockdown. To the point where, like, one of my best friends was, she was having a meltdown because she couldn't get a hold of her kids. Now, not in the same area in Fontana, but still, just the thought of these things happening, like,
so close.
Yeah, so close to home. My aunt was calling me. I was getting phone calls nonstop. Like, everybody was just, in a complete and total panic. And this is miles away from where it's happening. And, you know, we're just getting the news updates. We're getting little things here and there. And just like this, just we're getting little bits and pieces of the news and just all this terrible situation, this terrible terrorist attack that happened. And you were there.
Can I say what my thing is before she goes into her actual experience with it? So I had just basically, I think I was like still in my first probably semester back at school, like first trip back. I was at Rosette Community College.
This is like right when you guys pretty much came home, right?
Yeah. And so I remember it was a sociology class, and so we had a field trip, and we went down to downtown Riverside, and we were in like what's the name of the building? Anyway, it was like a building about showing like the historic things of Riverside, which is really cool.
Lake Alice.
Lake Alice. And so I remember I'm in there and I'm in class and my phone's ringing. And so, you know, I'm trying to be a good student. I answer the phone while I'm in class. And so the phone doesn't ring. So the phone stops ringing, and then I check it, and it's a text message from my mom. And it says, "I want you to know that I'm okay and I love you." And I was like, okay.
That's not normal.
Yeah. And I was like, and I'm literally reading the text, and as I finish that, I'm okay, but I love you. Like, as soon as I read that, my professor goes, "Everybody, class is over. Please go home, be safe. There was a terrorist attack in Redlands." And I was just like, so right away I was like, no, like trying to piece it together.
Yeah.
And then of course, we were trying to call. I don't even remember. Did I get to talk to you on the phone? I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember too many details on that. I know that I tried to get a text out to them, to know that, you know, I had them all in a group. So with just a click, I told them that where I was and that I was okay at that time, because I'm sure that they were going to hear the news, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I remember like I think I ran to what's that coffee shop? Molino's. I don't know. I ran there, and I think it's because I had my laptop. I think I was trying to pull up.
Just find Wi-Fi or something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
And then calling my dad, calling my brother, calling everyone to see what they had heard, or what was going on. So I don't know how much of it you want to.
I guess we kind of. It's up to you how much you want to tell or how much you want to talk about. But like, what was your experience? What was your perspective there? I mean, was this like?
Well, it's experience that I don't wish on anybody.
Yeah.
An experience that changed my life. An experience that, unless you go through something like that, you're able to really understand. And at first, you know, the shock of it, the first thing, let me back it up just a little bit. December the 2nd, the night before, I had asked Mike to help me bring down all of Christmas decorations from the top of our roof, because I was on a mission.
December 2nd sounds like you're running a little late.
I was.
Yeah.
I was really on a mission. Well, the thing is, let me back it up a little more.
Okay.
7 days before that, my first granddaughter was born. So I had spent my time out there in Escondido with holding my little one. So I was on a mission. I needed to get the house up and running for Christmas, and I needed to get my office up and running. So my thoughts that morning when I ran into the office was I was on a mission. And it was an urgent mission because I needed to do it today. Well, halfway through, I remember I had just finished putting up the little tree in our office when there's screams coming down the hall from one of the girls. There's a shooting. There's a shooting. Well, my desk is next to the window, so I was able to see down there. And by that time, they said everyone to the conference room, which is right smack in the middle. And I knew it was serious because of the live shooting part of it, and because they had already said people had died. So they barricaded us in that conference room. And that's when reality starts to hit, that you are in a very, very dangerous situation. And some were crying, some were hyperventilating. There was just all kinds of reactions in that room. But they had flipped over the big conference table and put it against the door. But then, the door, there's glass right next to the door. So I figured, hey, all they have to do is,
Right.
So they had us behind that, all of us laying flat there as time. And there's a lot of thinking and meditating and trying to figure out if you're going to get out of there alive. My first thought was my children, of course, my husband and my brand new granddaughter. And you start to face death, with that possibility that you may not get out of there. So I was lucky enough to have my phone with me when we ran out the door, only because I had it in my pocket. So I was able to connect with my family right away and letting them know that where I was on the third floor and that I was okay at that time. The same text I sent out to my 3 sisters, one of whom worked at the public health department in administration. So it was she that told the administrators that there was a shooting there and that I was in there. So right away, the word gets out, and I started, my phone just started to, blow up with everybody calling and trying to reach, but I couldn't. I didn't have that much left, so I had to be very careful in that. So what I'm trying to say is that during that time, it really, you're in shock. So the fear is it's real. You know that things are happening. You don't know what it's going to, So after that, we were, a voice came on the loudspeaker saying that we were to evacuate. We didn't know at that time that they had found bombs around the building. So they got us out of there with our hands up and our badge on our hands, single file. And we hear one of the police say, "Building has not been cleared." And so the decision was made by our supervisors that we were needing to just leave the building. So we did, and we went single file, and you could see things there on the side. But anyway, we made it across and realized that the place was just full of firemen and ambulances, helicopters that were landed on of course, helicopters on top. And all I could think in my mind at that time was claiming Psalms 23, that even though you walk through the valley of death, God was going to be with me. That brought peace, but it wasn't, it's harder to say it than to really believe it as you're walking through a situation, literally a situation like that. So there was a lot of emotions, a lot of things that happened, a lot of interviewing by the police department, and of what you saw, didn't see, hear, whatever. So the process was it was all a nightmare. You know, you don't believe that you're living through that.
Yeah, it's like you're in a haze.
You're in a haze. A lot of things, you know, kind of get blocked out. I think that's the best way to kind of save your mental health there. But all I can say was it's an experience that you would never want to go through, and it's, I think, the closest thing that I've ever faced to death, and knowing that, you know, yeah, it just makes you realize that how fragile life really is. You know, you're here this minute and then you're gone the next. And one of the lessons that I took away from this whole ordeal was not just that the Lord was with me, but it helped me to know the difference between what was urgent and what was important. It was really urgent for me to get my Christmas decor in my office and in my house. That was urgent.
Right.
But what was more important was my children, my husband, my granddaughter, my sisters, my family. That was important. And the next morning, when the little sleep that I got, that I woke up, I didn't know if it was a dream or if it had really happened. But all I wanted was to be with my family. I just wanted to be, I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to be with them. And so it just kind of changes your whole, for me, it just changed the way I saw life. You know, I'm a Christian and I believe in God. And I knew that He had protected me for a reason. And I just thanked Him that I was able to see another day, and that this was a hard lesson to learn. But I think that is something that is really important as we go through life, to really value the things that are important.
It's really interesting to see and like, you know, to hear the perspectives of kind of coping and dealing with it afterwards, and you know, the way that people you know, like what you're saying, I wanted to be with my family. I had a not really a friend of mine, but at the time I was working out at 24 Hour Fitness, and there was like, this is how small the world is. I met this guy there who would, like, we just talked because we were both Asian and we were both lifting weights, right? He's a cool dude. His name was Joko. And his brother was actually a nurse in the same class as JC.
Oh, really?
Right. So I met him through there, and then I remember right around that time, he was a nurse and worked over there and he was on scene and he was trying to help. And I remember him telling me, I remember seeing him and I was like, yo, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. Like, and he was like, well, first off, I was at Inland Regional. And then he was like, and then, after all that went down, like, you know, all the news interviews and everything, when it started to calm down, he's like, I realized that, like, I need to help. So he enlisted in the Army, like right after that. And I was like, Army? He's like, I feel like that's where I need to be. And I was like, okay, like what? I mean, so, and I haven't seen him since. I don't know. I mean, I would assume by now if he hasn't re-enlisted, he's done his time, you know, but like just that mentality where he was just like, I feel like I need to be of service and this is the way I'm going to do it. Because he was a big dude and I was like, okay. I mean, like, I feel like, you know what I mean? To me, my thought is like, you're already a nurse. You're already helping.
Yeah, you're
right.
He's like, I need to go, you know, above and beyond that. And I was, you know, so just seeing those different reactions and those different, you know, maybe it's a coping mechanism. I don't know. But it's really interesting to see that, like, something as traumatic as that, because that, I mean, like I said, even from 3-4 miles away, it was terrifying. So for you to actually be there and to be going through it, you know, that's just, it's a completely different level, you know?
And it could have been worse had those bombs gone off.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned it, I do remember them because they had to detonate a couple right afterwards. And I still remember hearing all of that going on and just thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is insane.
How long was it until we were even able to pick up your car?
About a week.
Yeah, like her car was there. Like we had to come get her.
Nothing. Computer, everything.
Oh, yeah.
It was-
I mean, if you drive by there today, there's still like they still have the San Bernardino strong little area with the bench. The golf course is gone.
Yes.
It's an Amazon now. It's an Amazon warehouse. Yeah. But yeah, it's.
I don't know where they would have evacuated us if
Yeah.
that, because that's, we're over 400
Onto the
employees.
Amazon trucks. There's probably enough. Yeah, it's just it's wild. It's. You don't think stuff like that is going to happen so close to home.
No.
You never
don't.
expect it, and then when
I
it
mean,
does,
if we had been, I think that was the hardest thing. I remember coming home. Finally, we were able to leave at about 8 o'clock. So I must have gone home closer to 9, and I didn't want to go to bed. I just wanted to be there with my husband, and I can remember listening to the news saying that it was a terrorist attack. And I said, oh, no, they've got it all wrong. A terrorist? No. To me, it was maybe a disgruntled employee or, a parent that was just, a little bit upset type of thing. Never a terrorist. I mean, terrorist attacks you see at airports, at malls, movie houses, whatever. But you don't see that in a building with social workers that are helping people with disabilities. I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt that I was in one of the safest places. I mean, even churches nowadays, they're being gunned down. Yeah. But, at that time, I felt like this is one of the safest places to work, because we're helping people. Yeah. But no, it was definitely a terrorist attack, and that was just hard to believe that in our own backyard that something like that would happen.
And I remember, and like now, like I haven't thought about this in a while. And now that I'm thinking about it, like, wasn't there like a chase afterwards? Like they were chasing him through Redlands, and they went through his apartment.
I think didn't they gun them down?
Yeah. I mean, in fact, I distinctly remember that at that time, when they were being chased, we were being picked up by city buses that had come by. They would
to get you guys out.
They'd come into the golf course and they would fill up a bus and then be escorted down to the Rock, the church, the Rock. That's not far from there. But it was amazing to have, sirens and police cars, 2 in the front, motorcycles on the side and in the back. I mean, we were being escorted to the church because they didn't know where, or what was.
And since you don't know if one of the targets is in your group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't, like that's. I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if talking with you or Theo or someone, but it's like you don't know. Like when they left, when they left the scene, it's like, where were they going? Maybe they're running away, or are they trying to find people that escaped? You don't know. You don't know what.
Yeah.
You don't know what that thought process is. Like you can't.
No, and it wasn't until we got to the Rock, the church, that where they did more investigating and interrogating and all of that. But I mean, I just want to say to the Rock Church, they were the most amazing people. For all of a sudden to have all these people, 400 plus come in, and they fed us and they gave us Wi-Fi. They were just absolutely wonderful. In a time when you just really, I mean, we hadn't eaten. This happened like 10 o'clock in the morning, and here it was, about 3:30 or 4, and But anyway, they were there and they were very supportive. And it was while we were there that they announced that they had a shootout, and that the two gunmen had been killed in an exchange. And then, of course, we saw that evening, all of that come down. Mm-hmm. But yes, and then finally when we got home, listening to the news and stuff, it was just unbelievable that something like that had happened.
Yeah, and like why there? Why, you know what I mean? Like genuinely.
Even it wasn't even like the like they had like a like a coffee station on site, and the barista was killed. Like,
Yeah.
Well, they killed one of the breweries outside in the regional center.
So were you close with anybody that was shot or
The closest one was the Breeze. He was a wonderful young man, very very happy-go-lucky. Always had a smile, and when you go there a lot, they know almost what you're going to order.
right? They know before you know.
And yes, and he had just stepped out. Is what we understand. He had just stepped out of the office when they came through, and he was one of the first ones they shot. So I don't think he even knew what hit him. But the other ones, of course, were all from the health department, and they, so we really didn't know that they were renting the building there. So the one that we lost from Regional Center was the Breeze guy from there. But among them, there was a lot of young moms, and it was just a very senseless death. Yeah, it was very.
That's terrible.
It was very emotional, and having to deal with those emotions was another thing.
so going off the dealing with emotions, there's something we kind of talked about earlier, and I found this interesting because I felt very similar to how you were handling a traumatic experience. For something like this, they provided you guys like grievance counseling and like crisis basically, right? And so, if you can you kind of explain that whole process and why you initially didn't want to do it, and then what led you to eventually doing it?
Okay. Regional Center was just amazing during this time with their employees. They couldn't do enough type of thing. They wanted to make sure we were all fine. And the first thing they did was to give us flyers with counselors, for us to seek counseling. But it was a list of not just counselors, they were trauma counselors that dealt with that. So this was a specific list. And they handed it out to all of us. Well, and at first, I thought, well, I don't need that. I'm going to be okay, I'm a God-fearing woman. I know, I've been, my faith in God is strong. I don't need to seek any counseling because God is my counselor. And, that to me was real. I mean, I really believed I didn't need counseling, that I was going to be okay. It just was a matter of time to rest and to get myself, going. But my sweet husband must have noticed things that I didn't notice. And he told me one day, sweetheart, I think it's going to be important that you do see a counselor. Because, he's very diplomatic, in the future, if there's any problems and you have not seeked any help, it's going to be a lot difficult and a lot different, down the line. So his words convinced me to seek one of those counselors on the list. And but I had an alternative motive.
This
Maybe a selfish motive.
This is literally, this makes me laugh because this is exactly my thinking when I went to.
And I thought, well, what a great opportunity to find out how these trauma counselors do their counseling. I could get some tips and check out some of their skills and that kind of stuff. So I was not going in for help. I was going to go in to find out some of those tips and those skills that these trauma counselors could offer.
You're trying to steal state secrets.
Yes, yes.
See, that's how I went into all my free counseling school.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, I was like, I don't need to be here. I know what's going on in my life, but I'd like to see how this goes.
Isn't that kind of how you found out that like you have trauma driving in the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very first one. They're like, how you know? A little stressed, whatever, no big deal. Rain, not a fan of it. Why? I don't know. Oh, I was in an accident. Like bad and from the rain? No, it was in snow. And like I went into the whole thing and I was like, I don't want to talk about this. They're like, well, like clearly you came in this you said you told me you were anxious and whatever. I was like, well, I'm not, I'm stressed out from school. They're like, yeah, we'll talk about that. But you just told me that you're stressed out from your drive here because of the rain. Like, and it sounds like it's a higher anxiety than someone who just doesn't like driving in the rain.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that was kind of my mindset at that time. I really didn't believe. I felt that by going to a counselor, that would show that I didn't have faith in God or in what His power, what He could do for me. I felt that it really wasn't necessary to do that. However, I didn't know what I had just gone through, and it wasn't till that first counseling. I'll never forget that counselor, Mrs. Johnson. She was amazing. And after that first counsel, I said, what a blessing to have this type of help. And what I thought was just going to be a one-time thing to kind of check it out and see what tips I could find, I took 6 of the sessions that came, and I looked forward to them because every time I came out of there feeling so much better. Because a lot of this stuff, you can't really talk about it to someone that hasn't been through that. They think you might be a little bit off, So it was wonderful to be able to talk to someone who understood, who had the skills to help. And I think my recovery from that was much faster than if I would have not gone and tried to work. And I know that the Lord would have helped me, but this was a very quick, the Lord puts professional people, counselors, to help you. So, we can't also, I learned, we can't be close-minded and say, me going to counselor is not showing faith, or it's not showing that I'm a Christian. No. God has set those people. He has given them that talent. He has given them those abilities to be able to help people, especially if you've been through a traumatic experience. So my encouragement to anyone that's listening today, if you feel you need help, if you've been through any type of trauma, seek help. It's the best thing that you could do. And not be afraid, not be embarrassed, just think that, oh, you're a weakie because you can't handle this. No, they're there to help you. And if you're willing to get the help, by all means, get it.
Yeah. I don't think we can say any better than that.
Yeah. Today my dad said was my immediate thought of, because my mom was saying, she's like, your dad must have seen something for him to be like, you should go to this. And I remember this is what I thought right away. And then when Dad said it, I was like, oh, that's what I was thinking too. That you guys were in the area of your work, but it wasn't exactly there, but that you just saw an ambulance go by, not even going towards Inland Region. I just saw an ambulance go by, And my mom's first reaction, or what she said, just involuntarily, was, "Not again."
Yeah.
And so, and I think, it sounds
just throw you off,
Yeah, like,
especially sirens.
and
For me, for a long time, I couldn't hear sirens.
and as a person, you can step back and be like, "Oh wow, that was dramatic. Like, this isn't even near," you know what I mean? But it's like, I think that's what makes something so traumatic. It can. I feel like you can get triggered in different ways, and it may not seem like a rational thing to an outsider, but like in those moments, you don't know, like, that took you like right back into that moment or whatever it was.
It takes you right back. And it takes a while to, I don't think you ever really get over it, but it sure helps, Now I can hear a siren and not freak out, So, so counseling definitely does help.
Well, I mean, like I said, we can't say it any better than that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we could call it at that.
Yeah.
I know it's bedtime.
It's my bedtime. Senior citizen bedtime.
Once again, everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. Make sure that you guys tell a friend about it. Even just tell one friend. Have them listen to the show. That'd be awesome. Have them tell one friend. Make sure you follow us. Mike recently created a Twitter.
We have a Twitter.
So I don't know who uses Twitter anymore, but Mike still does. So I believe it's at Walking Blind Pod.
Yes.
We have at Walking Blind Pod on Instagram, Walking Blind Podcast at gmail.com, walkingblindpodcast.com, walkingblindpod.com. Wherever you guys want to check it out, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, it should be available. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And then thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
tonight.
giving me the
Thanks, Mom.
opportunity to meet your crowd here. And
We want you on future episodes, and we want to talk more about Mike's childhood and
that's very interesting.
his dating life.
Oh,
and his,
my goodness.
Thanks for checking out the Walking Blind podcast. We'll see you guys next
grandkids are coming.
Hey, now that you said
you guys.
girlfriends, oh my goodness. I just loved all of the girlfriends. I was the one that stayed crying, not him.
What is happening right
I
now?
loved all my girlfriends. But listen, you got to remember, I only had 2 boys. I didn't have daughters.
True.
So when the girlfriends came along,
You're ready.
my oldest boy and my son, this one, I just loved them. and then when they were gone, I was crying. But anyway, that's for another one. Yeah. Invite me back for that one.
I'm so ready for that one. I'm so excited.
My exes they'll like text me or they'll message me and they'll be like, "Hey, wish your mom happy birthday," or I just wish your mom happy birthday. I hope you guys are having a fun day today. I'm like, "Thank you." Like, yeah, we are. Or my mom will tell me like, "Oh, so and so left me the sweetest message of so and so." I'm like, "What? Why?" Because we're friends.
Because they didn't break up with me. They broke up with you.
In some cases,
Love you,
I broke up
girls.
with them, Mom.
On that note, bye everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.